This is the Bucks POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Milwaukee Bucks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Make it 2 wins in a row for our Milwaukee Bucks. That's right, a 141-137 overtime thriller at Fiserv Forum. Their second win in a row. They now improve to 20-29 on the season. Hello, everyone. Welcome into the Locked On Bucks postcast. I am your host. My name is Brandon Sneide, joined alongside, as always, the Wisconsin Badger legend himself, Mr. Brian Butch. Lots to get to on the program. We'll take a look at this game. We'll obviously dissect the good, the bad, and at times the ugly. We'll take a look at the turning point and break down our Locked On Bucks postcast, victorious postcast, I may add, player of the game. As always, thanks for making Locked On Bucks part of your day each and every single day. Friendly reminder, we are free and available wherever you guys get audio podcasts, Apple, Google, Spotify, Amazon, as well as over on YouTube, where we are live right now. If you're over there on YouTube, make sure you hit that thumbs up. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that notification bell. Get notified when we go live, and we are live right now talking about a 141-137 victory for our Milwaukee Bucks. Butchie, as always, we'll begin with you. I wasn't feeling great about this one for the Bucks early on. They found themselves down really all game until in that fourth quarter when they had a few ties in between, but they finally grabbed the lead in the fourth quarter. The game obviously goes into overtime where the Milwaukee Bucks get their 20th win of the year. Your initial Butchie reaction to that victorious 141-137 Bucks win?
Well, I think it's got to start with the bench. You look at that, 7 guys in double figures tonight for the Bucks. As far as how do you find a way to just kind of claw this thing out, like, to me, that's the biggest thing I've got. I've also got the lineup of Rollins, Nance, Sims, Coffey, and Trent to say, oh, that's the lineup that's going to get the things rolling here a little bit.
Positive Pete, you saying, huh?
Say what you want to say. Now it's something where I just look at it and say, I can't believe it. But, again, played phenomenal in what he was doing. But that lineup was an 11-0 run to start the fourth and what they were able to do. And I thought that's a big part of this game. I don't understand this. Yes, it's a victory. We'll be happy. As a player, I don't know how you're out of bounds when you're shot ready at the end of the game.
Talking about Miles Turner late in that game. Probably would have won the game, I'm assuming.
Well, assuming, yeah. But in general, like, those are the little things that when you look at a really good team and a team that understands what needs to happen as far as just when you look at good teams versus teams that have done what we're doing with it, to me, this is a coaching thing. Like, you have to drill the discipline in. And I know Miles Turner's a 13-year, 12-year, 11-year, something like that vet. Like, I get that. And it was not a bad call. He was out of bounds on the catch. He was out of bounds on the left foot. His whole body was out of bounds. So I'm not going to say it was a bad call. I thought it was the correct call. I thought they said his left foot was out. Well, his right foot was out on the catch too, if they wanted to look at that. I don't understand how that happens as a player. You need to know the situation. You need to know that your guy is driving. I thought KPJ played really good. He was able to drive. He was able to get to the paint. The kick is wide open for the 3, and then you're out of bounds. You can't have that. Now, that'll be my gripe. That'll be one thing that I just, as a player, don't understand. But this group, the bench played well. They found a way to keep fighting. You look at Murphy's 10 threes that he had. They were able to fight that off. Most of the time, you're not able to fight that off. 12 threes he had.
Yeah, he had quite the game. Career high for him.
I also see, as you watch this game, why New Orleans' record is what they are, because their execution down the stretch was horrendous. Some of the shots that they were taking was just not intelligent at all and played into this as well. But I think you've got to give a lot of credit to this group. On top of it, and this is the first time I mentioned that as I've rambled on here a little bit, on top of a back-to-back, that energy was really good. I think that's what people want to see from this Bucks team is play hard. They've not only played hard now back-to-back nights, they've played with energy. You've got contributions from a lot of different guys. Amir Coffey gives you 16 points. Like, No one was thinking that was coming. So when your number's called and you're answering it, like now this is something you can get on board to. Like this was a really fun watch tonight. Some of these have not been a fun watch, if we're being honest. Some of these have been dual TV screens as far as throw a college game on and throw the Bucks game on. This was I'm locked into the Bucks game the entire time because of what they were doing and how they were doing it. Yes, the 11-0 run to start the fourth quarter is what caught the attention. But throughout the game, I thought there was some really good stuff that they were doing, and a lot of it's those young guys.
It's the little things too, Butchie, that they just haven't been doing all season long, and there's a few different reasons, right? Your lineups are inconsistent. Amir Coffey, you mentioned, getting his second consecutive start on the season for the Milwaukee Bucks. No Bobby Portis in this one. Obviously, no Giannis in this one. Kevin Porter Jr. The ball moved a lot more, and I'm telling you, I have it written down. Let me see. I'm gonna count it here. 1, 2, 3 times, because I go by quarter how I break down my notes for the game when I'm watching it. 3 times I wrote positive Pete, and I don't necessarily know exactly what it is. I know one of them was just those 50-50 balls, throughout the course of the season, absolutely. The Bucks could never get to them, and then he comes in, and I'm not saying he's the end-all, be-all guy, and I'm not saying he's the savior of the season or anything like that, but it's the little things that the team just couldn't get done early on that got themselves into this now 9 games under 500 hole, despite the 141-137 win tonight. But those are the little things that he has done to this lineup and this team and the energy, and obviously the effort are a big thing. You mentioned Pete Nance's 16 points in 19 minutes. We had Gary Trent Jr. with 13 off of the bench. I mentioned Kevin Porter Jr. making his return, 18 points in 29 minutes for Kevin Porter Jr. The bench, a big reason, Butchie, why this Bucks team was connected all game long, right? They were down 9, they were down 8 and 5. It wasn't
something crazy. It was just consistent.
Right. They were there.
It was like 4 to 5 the entire game. They didn't, it wasn't one of those that got away from it. Now it's a 20-point game, and now they're storming all the way back. Like, it wasn't that at all. It really wasn't.
No, the ball was moving. The ball was moving.
Yes, because Bobby Portis wasn't playing, and I'm not trying to but there is a correlation.
I'll say this though about the ball moving. Not a great night scoring for Kyle Kuzma. I think he didn't score. He got his first bucket at the 6:50 mark in the third quarter. Now, last night, it's also worth noting this is a second leg of a back-to-back for this Milwaukee Bucks team. So
right.
that also needs to be applauded a little bit. I know everybody's doom and gloom right now on our Milwaukee Bucks, and I completely understand why for many different reasons, and you know how hard this is. The second leg of a back-to-back, albeit you're at home and you're against the New Orleans Pelicans, who might be in the running for the top pick in the upcoming NBA draft this summer. But the energy and the effort from this team and being able to move the ball, being able to rebound the ball, being able to get those 50-50, opportunities to finally kind of turn in your direction. The Bucks shot the ball really good. I mean, they were shooting 60%, Butchie, at half, and they were still down 7. They got good shots. They obviously made a majority of them. Defenses for both teams. I mean, it's a 141-137. The game did go to overtime, but just not a good defensive performance from either one of these teams. But you got to give credit where credit is due. And the Bucks, again, with a lot of adversity facing them, they're a very big uphill climb. We don't know what the future of Giannis is going to be like. We quite frankly don't know what the future of any of these guys are going to be in the next 24 hours.
But that's the point here. And I think that's what we've seen. I'm going to be really curious to see after the trade deadline if we get the same energy here, because these guys know that they are putting video and putting film out there for everybody. And whether they're putting it out there for the new team that they're going to be a part of, whether they're putting the film out there for the next team after this year, whether they know that. It's funny because within the seasons, there's always you break it up, and there's the dog days as when you get through it. But then there's the trade deadline. Then you get the NBA All-Star. There's these benchmarks. And right now with the trade deadline, this is a benchmark where the attention and the focus from every player is a little bit higher.
Yeah, and again, there's a lot. Doc Rivers has talked about it. Kyle Kuzma talked about it last night. Other guys have obviously talked about it. Kevin Porter Jr. in weeks past because the Giannis rumor mill hasn't stopped since I think December 3rd is when it really started to pick up. And for whatever reason, that date has to be stuck in my embedded in my brain. But you're seeing guys step into leadership roles, Butchie. Ryan Rollins, once again, and we'll get into the turning point. We'll get into our player of the game. I don't know where this team would be without Ryan Rollins. I know Kyle Kuzma was a big part of the game last night for the Bucks. He had 7 points. I was getting to what impressed me the most about Kyle Kuzma was the 9 assists from Kyle Kuzma tonight. So he wasn't scoring the ball like we saw 24 hours ago, but he was facilitating the ball, had a 6 rebounds as well. Yeah, and he only took 5 shots. And that was the difference between last night and tonight. We saw how aggressive he was. But the thing with the Bucks tonight too, and something that stuck out to me, Butchie, and maybe you can correct me if I'm a little bit off here, when they were going downhill, the north and south offensively attacking this Pelicans defense, they were getting, it felt like whatever they wanted, right? Jericho Sims was fantastic tonight. He had 8 points.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think he had 4 dunks. I think all 8 of his points came on the 4 dunks off those pick and rolls, but it got a little cloudy at times when the ball was moving east or west. And when they were attacking north and south, it felt like a different Bucks offense.
Well, that's what this team has to do. I mean, that's been one of my biggest things because that's what it's built on. Because what does Giannis do best? Goes downhill. Yeah. So you better build your team on them being the best when they do that. And that's the way this team is supposed to be built. So going north-south, going downhill is how this team should have the most success, no matter if Giannis is playing or not. Because ultimately you build your team around your best player.
Fair.
So your strength should fit what that is. Now, the fact that the Bucks have not been a north-south team all the time, that's the confusing part. That's the coaching side of it that people get frustrated with, myself included.
Yep.
You're built to go north-south. You're built to go downhill and kick out for wide open looks. That's what you're supposed to be built on because your superstar is that. Now, if Giannis gets traded and you move on, now that's a different story, and now you're trying to figure it out, and there's a whole different conversation that has to happen there. But until you get rid of 34 or until 34 leaves Milwaukee, your team should always be built on north-south.
Yeah, it's a fair assessment of this Bucks team. They do get the victory this evening, 141-137, as we said earlier in the show. Took them a little bit to get in front of New Orleans, and they would never look back. So when did this one turn for the Milwaukee Bucks and are victorious? Back-to-back Locked On Bucks postcast player of the game coming right up after this. Tonight's victorious edition of the Locked On Bucks postcast is brought to you by our wonderful friends over at FanDuel. It is the last call for football on FanDuel, guys. One final Sunday, one last kickoff. A final chance to get in on the action before the NFL season officially comes to a close. This is Super Bowl 60, and FanDuel is making sure you're right in the middle of it with a special offer just in time for the biggest game of the year. Whether you're backing the favorite, riding the underdog, or building one last same-game parlay, this is the game everyone's been waiting for. And if you're a new customer, if you bet just $5, you'll get $200 in bonus bets if you win. Make it count because after Super Bowl, the season is officially over. Last call for football on FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. Visit FanDuel.com right now to get started. Tonight's show is also brought to you by Quo. New year, new systems. This is the time when a lot of us look at the messier parts of how we run our business and think there's just got to be a better way. And guess what? There absolutely is. Streamlining your communication is one of the quickest upgrades you can make. That's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Q-U-O, the smarter way to run your business communications. Because when your team is reachable, organized, and communicating all in one place, you're not just working cleaner, you're creating more opportunities to connect with your customers. Your whole team can call and text from one shared business number, so nothing ever gets missed. Make this year where no opportunity and no customer slips away. It's no surprise. Quo is the #1 rated phone system on G2, trusted by more than 90,000 businesses. Try Quo for free, plus get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/lockedonnba. That's QUO.com/lockedonnba. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. And lastly, tonight's victorious edition of the Locked On Bucks postcast brought to you by Gametime. There's nothing like being in an NBA arena. The crowd, the energy, the moment. Getting tickets, though, that can be the part where it's not so simple. That's why Gametime has been the go-to app for scoring tickets fast without the hassle. Plus, it puts the advantage back where it belongs with you, the fans. I love seeing the all-in price upfront fees. There's no surprise fees at checkout. Every price you see is what you pay when you are ready to check out. Being able to see the view from the seat, also a very big plus before buying and making any decision for any event that you plan on going to see. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. That's Locked On for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. And remember, it's gametime.co, not .com. Thank you for making Locked On Bucks your first listen of the day. And thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcasting network. A victorious edition of the Locked On Bucks postcast. A 141-137 victory for our Milwaukee Bucks. Back-to-back wins at Fiserv Forum. It's time to get in to our turning point in the 141-137 win.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
Didn't start off great tonight, Butchie. They grabbed the lead late in this one. It obviously goes to overtime. Where for you, Mr. Butchie, did this one turn in favor for our Milwaukee Bucks?
Well, it really was the start of the fourth quarter. I know I mentioned that briefly in the talk, but that 11-0 run with the group of Rollins, Nance, Sims, Coffey, and Trent on the floor to be able to, get what you needed to do and finally get the first lead with that 9:50 left in the fourth quarter. That's my turning point. I know it's a simple one. I mean, that's probably what a lot of people would say, whether they're basketball knowledge people or not. It doesn't but that run kind of gave some energy and, and jolt to what was a 4 to 5 point deficit for the majority of the game. And they were able to finally get over that thing. And I think that was a big part of why they were able to do that.
Great minds think alike, Butchie. And I'm gonna stick with you. I'm not too far from you. For me, it's the end of the third quarter, and the Bucks were down 104-96, and it didn't look good. You see a couple of buckets go in for New Orleans, the Bucks missing some opportunities on the offensive side of the ball, and you're thinking to yourself, if they don't get a bucket to end this quarter, you're down 8, Trey Murphy's on fire, I don't know where we're going to get the offense from. And obviously the fourth quarter, we'll get into that and whatnot with our player of the game, I'm assuming. But when AJ Green hit that buzzer-beating three-pointer going into the fourth quarter, you mentioned the beginning of the fourth quarter. I think that was the start of it, right? That crowd was back into it. I still don't know, Butchie, how he got that shot off. I don't know how he saw the rim. I don't know. I don't know the defender who was on him, but he was on him very, very tightly. And for him to be able not only to get the shot off, but to sink that bucket, and that took him into the fourth quarter just down 5. Again, you and I talked about it, Butchie. You're connected. You're right there. 5 points at home against a team that's also not very good. You are giving yourself an opportunity in this one, and that's exactly what the Bucks did. And shortly after that, Ryan Rollins, you mentioned in the fourth quarter, I mean, he was part of the 11-0 run. He scored 8 of those on his own, and the Bucks would grab the lead 107-104. The game would obviously tie, a few times later on. It would go to overtime, obviously. But that would be the moment I thought, yes, they didn't actually take the lead in that AJ Green 3. But for me, it felt like, okay, this Bucks team's not going anywhere. This is where you want New Orleans to be at the end of a game. Put them in these pressure situations. And I'm going to take the chance with guys like Kevin Porter Jr., Kyle Kuzma, Miles Turner. I know his foot was out of bounds on that 3, and that's exactly what happened. And the Bucks took it late into that fourth quarter and obviously couldn't close it out in the fourth quarter, but certainly closed it out in overtime. So both of us kind of in the same boat as far as the turning point. Lots of directions, Butchie, that we can go on this one. I'm eager to hear who your Locked On Bucks postcast player of the game is.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
Big night from Amir Coffey, season high, 16 points, positive Pete off the bench. Our guy, Butchie, 16 points. Kevin Porter Jr. making his return with 18 points. Trey Murphy with, I think it was 44 on the night. He had 12.
Yeah, it was 44.
44, 12 made 3-pointers for Trey Murphy III, your Butchie Locked On Bucks victorious edition player of the game is?
Yeah, Kevin Porter Jr. for missing 6 games and coming
okay.
back with the way that he's played 30 minutes and having kind of the impact in which it was. And realistically, you look at why that's the case. There's one big number next to it. 9 assists, 5 steals. Like, to me, the ball moved.
Yeah.
Sometimes with Kevin Porter Jr., it doesn't move. Sometimes but like it moved. He was active, missed 6 games, played 30 minutes on that minute restriction. It's always tough to play when you have a minute restriction because it's always tough to be aggressive because you're trying to monitor those minutes in your head as well as a player. Like I've been on that when I was in the D League and those sorts of things, coming back from injuries. I've had enough injuries. Teams would put me on minute restrictions. It was always tough to know how aggressive I needed to be and still play with what we, and come back and fit in. So to me, it's just the way he played. I thought it was really good, really good.
He had a steal.
9 assists. It's pretty amazing.
That is really good. And that's kind of a sneaky 9 because it certainly didn't feel like the ball stuck, but showing 9, we mentioned Kyle Kuzma also with 9, like the ball was clearly moving around. 36 assists tonight for the Milwaukee Bucks in total as a team. A great night from that standpoint. But there was a moment with Kevin Porter Jr. I'll get into mine real quick, but he missed a dunk. He had a steal, a breakaway, missed the dunk. And then it felt like throughout the next few minutes, he was pressing a little bit. Kevin Porter Jr. Then he had a run in. He kind of got banged up a little bit, came up limping, but he was obviously fine. He finished the game. But then he was obviously in attack mode. We talked about it, how him and Jericho are working together this evening. And it was really, it's just a different team when he's clicking for the Milwaukee Bucks. And obviously you add in number 34, which we'll see when and if that happens throughout later on in the season. But it is a different Bucks team. So shout out to Kevin Porter Jr. I'm going to go with Ryan Rollins in this one. 27 points for the Milwaukee Bucks. It seems like a cop-out because he led the team in scoring with 27 in 40 minutes. But I thought what Ryan Rollins was able to do in that fourth quarter, it was both of our turning point, roughly in the same area of the game. I don't know if the Bucks, if he doesn't go on that 8-0 run that he went on in that fourth quarter to get the Bucks ahead 107-104, and from there on they would kind of dominate the rest of that. Not dominate because the game would go to overtime, but they would have eventually get out with the victory. I thought what what Ryan Rollins was able to do late in this one, and he's just such a fun story. Like, it's hard for me, Butchie, to I don't want to just stick to the story with Ryan Rollins, and that's why I'm rooting for him. But when you're able to see where he was a year ago, and he had the separated shoulder, the dislocated shoulder, whatever it was, on his right arm, and be able to see what he's been able to do in a calendar year, and he's up. I think we talked about it last show, or at least a few shows, probably going to be up for the discussion of NBA's most improved player. It's so fun to watch him play basketball, and he does everything you want him to do. He's on the floor diving. He's playing good defense. He's leading by example. He talked about his leadership during all of this, unknown with the Milwaukee Bucks. And for him to be about as consistent as it gets for the Milwaukee Bucks this year, I don't think many people had it on their bingo card for Ryan Rollins to be the one consistent player. Obviously, given a couple injuries to Kevin Porter Jr. and Giannis, that goes with, without saying, but for Ryan Rollins to be your guy night in and night out for the most part. We talk about it before Bobby got hurt, but she was like, where does this offense go through? Yeah. It's Ryan Rollins, man. It's Ryan Rollins. He didn't shoot great from 3 for 10 this evening, but he had some big ones, especially late in this one. So he gets my nod for the Locked On Bucks postcast player of the game. Milwaukee getting the 141-137 victory. And next up, again, a game they could potentially win, a game they're going to definitely probably be favored in a couple days from now, the Indiana Pacers. Our thanks to each and every one of you for tuning in. Thank you for making Locked On Bucks your first listen of the day. Remember, wherever you guys get audio podcasts, you can get the Locked On Bucks postcast as well. Amazon, Google, Spotify, wherever you get them, you can now listen to the Locked On Bucks postcast. We're also over there on YouTube. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the notification bell, and make sure you hit that thumbs up on our video. And we will reconvene on Friday evening as the Bucks will take on the Indiana Pacers. Thanks for tuning in. And as always, stay Locked On Bucks.